So today is day 12, and I went to bed last night feeling amazing. I did have a histamine reaction with our leftover chickens. I think leftover chicken might be a high histamine trigger for me and for Gabriella. I ended up having small rashes they appear and then disappear throughout different spots of my face. I started having a runny nose, a mild headache. This morning I woke up fully congested and just a little bit more tired than I have been. At least last night I felt really great. My breathing is not as stable. Gabriella's breathing is not as stable. So I was really excited last night because I really thought, I get it. I think I get it. And what I get is 8 to 12 weeks ago, I just needed meat. I needed broth. I needed meat. My body was trying to heal. But now my body is trying to clean out, and those meat products are not serving me right now. And I'm needing vegetables. And honestly, I heard once that meat and the animal fats and the meat stocks, they're very healing. And that's what I needed then. And vegetables can be very detoxing. And I could not tolerate vegetables after this big asthma episode I had. I was having tremors. I was almost delirious. I couldn't sit up and make eye contact with people. It immediately would happen after I ate something I shouldn't. And then in the evening, I would also have tremors for about an hour and a half. My legs would just be shaking, and I'd have anxiety. But now we're in a situation where maybe my body did heal a little bit in that time frame because I'm not tolerating those meats. But I can tolerate a bowl of broccoli cooked in water really well. And I can tolerate juicing with butter and sour cream. Yogurt is in between. I might eat it just to have something to eat. I might fast and just do juicing for a day or two. Honestly, I think what's happening is my body is killing off bad bacteria, pathogens. I've potentially been dealing with Lyme's for most of my life. I'm 33, probably since before I was a teenager. And Lyme's thrives when you have a very toxic environment in your body. Most people before the past 40 years never heard of Lyme's the way we hear of it now. And these pathogens thrive on heavy metals. And I had mercury fillings in my mouth until about 2 or 3 years ago, since I was a teenager. We ate sugar, we ate fast food, full of glyphosate. Constantly have glyphosate showing up on my naturopath's tests as a trigger for me. And so what I think is happening now is my body is trying to just clean out. It's trying, and in that process, these pathogens, dead bacteria, parasites, whether they're small, whether you can see them visibly, or parasites that are resemble small worms, like a pinworm, those are dying slowly and releasing histamines into my body. And so right now, my body just needs mass nutrients and fats. So I'm going to try to keep taking an increase in cod liver oil. And every time I have a bowl of vegetables, I'm going to put lots of butter from a good grass-fed butter on my vegetables. And eat our anaerobic ferments, which have antihistamine properties and also good bacteria. And in addition to the ferments, we'll be doing the probiotic Prescript Assist. I'm going to try to increase that to twice a day instead of just once a day. And Everybody else in the family is tolerating nuts fine. They're tolerating scrambled eggs fine, avocados fine. I don't think they have the toxic load, and I think their livers, when you're not burdened, your liver can keep up with detoxing. And when you become burdened and overwhelmed, like your body physically is overwhelmed with toxins, your liver gets really congested. I think their liver's been able to manage detoxing significantly better than ours. Me and Gabriella, she tends to favor my side of the family. And she is my second daughter, and I think I didn't know nearly as much as I do now, and I had to get antibiotics for group beta strep at the end of when I was delivering her, and I think that completely destroyed her gut, even though they say that babies have a sterile gut. I'm not 100% sold on that. And if anything, it also destroyed my gut. And I feel like she's been at a disadvantage since birth. We've always had I've always bought organic, but you can buy organic junk food. So we're just taking it to the next level to try to get some deep healing. So in a year or two, if we want to try a couple bites of organic junk food at somebody's house, it won't bother us and we won't have a huge issue about it. So morning cleanup can be kind of a lot when you're juicing and making breakfast. If you're really busy, you might want to juice in the afternoon, after a couple hours after lunch when you have an empty stomach. But I'm actually going to try the juicing today, and maybe I might have some bacon. I had some bacon yesterday morning. It barely bothered me. Since I'm already flared up from last night, I'm just going to try a couple bites and wait and drink on my ferment juice to make sure I don't have a bad reaction and ruin the day. So earlier I was talking about my liver health, and something that I think is an interesting tidbit, and if you want to get an idea of whether your liver is healthy or not, you obviously will know if you can tolerate certain foods. But if your stool is sinking, your liver is producing enough bile to break up the fats. When your stools are floating, you still have a lot of fats in your stool, which means you're not making enough bile, which means your liver is congested. At least this is my perspective, and this is what I've seen. I can tell physically I feel sick when my liver is congested, and then my stools usually end up floating. This also goes for our kids. And sometimes after we get to the bathroom, we end up feeling better because we finally got all those toxins out. So that's why it's just so important to try to go to the bathroom every day. As a personal note, I've been doing enemas because when you get really sick and you're desperate, you're going to try anything. And I find those really helpful, but I don't always go to the bathroom. Sometimes it ends up being 2 days afterwards. Coffee enemas can be very helpful. Sometimes they help, and sometimes your body rejects it and you just immediately, it goes back out and you're like, okay, my body does not want to do that right now. Almost always after juicing and after the enemas, my stools sink and they have stuff in them that is not stuff that I ate. So to me, that's a good sign. You have to do your own research about enemas. But it's all about relieving your liver. And that's why I think when I was pregnant, your liver has a lot more work to do because it's breaking down pregnancy hormones. And so slowly some of these other issues kind of creep up to the surface that you didn't realize. Like I didn't realize I was having histamine issues and I was going to have an asthma attack. I've never had those symptoms. But when I look back, I can see I would wake up with a runny nose almost every day. My ears would drain every single night. I wake up and clean out stuff out of my ears. My body was detoxing and it was reacting to things, which obviously I think they're both linked together, the bad bacteria and the good bacteria. I've been gluten-free and sugar-free for 6 to 12 months, for quite a while. And we've eaten mostly organic since our marriage about 12 years ago. It hasn't been perfect. I go in phases. We've had raw milk for the past 4 years. So I think these things have helped me not get as low as some people get. But I'm still dealing with serious issues, chronic health issues, days of in bed, being disabled, being unable to take care of our family. And I don't feel like that's what God wants. We genuinely think each child of ours is a gift. And we do not feel like we should be limiting these wonderful people that I believe are going to change the world. Each child has so many gifts. Each person has so many gifts. And God made them unique. Each one of us are unique. And we all have a purpose. And my husband and I, we pray about every time we should have another child. So because we have children every 2 years, I don't think I should be this sick. I think personally, I think it's spiritual warfare. I think the devil's worked in our culture for so long. We've removed God from everything. And I obviously closely relate it to food because I can see it in my life trying to bring me down, trying to not let me school the way I want to, trying to not let me homestead and nurture and feed and nourish our children and my husband, our marriage. Our marriage is just as important and almost more important than raising the children, because if you don't have a healthy marriage, your children are going to suffer more. So I think there's a lot going on spiritually in our food system right now. It's trying to bring people down, really. It really is. And it's going to be a hard process to detox. It's just hard. You're going to suffer. But your suffering's not... What, hon? Our suffering is not in vain. Hold on. I'll get you some juice in a minute. Our suffering is not in vain, especially if you're a Christian. You understand this. Jesus died for us. He was our God. He didn't have to do that, but he loved us. And I personally believe in redemptive suffering and, excuse my yogurt whisking, and that we can give God our suffering. We can offer it up as a prayer, a strong prayer for people to get to heaven, for somebody who's suffering that you know, for an end to abortion. Things that are terrible. Just don't let your suffering go to waste. And keep hope. Keep hope that you're going to get better, and you might have worse days. Most people with chronic health illnesses have many worse days before they feel better. And those of parents that are dealing or have children that are sicker than others, it's hard. It's very hard. Offer up any little bit that you can. And I encourage you to find a strong network. We're blessed to have a strong network of Christians around us that help us when we're down, bring meals to each other after babies, have come over and just taken my kids for a couple of hours because I was debilitated in bed from tremors. So it's community, and the scriptures are full of community hope, and I encourage you to find that for yourself and stay hopeful